As a financial counselor, I found it very interesting when you see a lot of people that have all of their finances in order, or you see the other side that is really struggling with finances in general. Now, when it comes down to this, it is the consistent habits that I'm going to be sharing with you today that I see from those individuals that have all of their finances in order. And it's not incredibly complex. You don't have to be a brilliant accounting major. You don't have to be a financial wizard to get these right. And if you do put them in place, you're going to be a lot better off financially. So the first one we look at is tracking your spending regularly. This, of course, creates an accountability piece. When you have money coming in, you have money going out, and then you have your third bucket with what you have left over for the month. A lot of people don't even know the difference or don't even want to know the difference between needs and wants. They don't want to know the difference between what's coming in and what they're actually spending because, again, they don't want to categorize or they don't want to spend the time doing it. But it is imperative. It gives you a very defined and a very clear picture of your financial habits when it comes to breaking these down, and you can really make a lot of smarter decisions or even the realization when it comes to this, well, of where you're spending money and where you have the ability to cut back on. Second one, creating a monthly budget. This kind of goes hand in hand with the first one. A budget is the roadmap to financial success, and it cannot be, too time consuming. People get crazy and get caught up with this and get caught up with the budget. People don't want a budget. They want a spending plan. They want a free lifestyle. They want whatever it is. It makes a big difference if you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you have a side gig, if you're looking at, having a side hustle. Keep it simple. Put what money you're making, where your expenses are going. You don't even have to do it to every single dollar, to every single penny. You can, of course, if you want, but knowing exactly what you have over left in that last bucket, again, is going to be imperative. When it comes to things like groceries, when it comes to utility, when it comes to entertainment, these are things that can vary wildly, and knowing exactly how much money you can put towards those can make a difference when it comes to financial. Any leftover money, you can put it towards building that emergency fund. You can use it for debt repayment, or you can use it to investing. Now, of course, the big one that I really stress with everyone, and our third one, is automatic savings transfers. We talk about this a lot when it comes to 401ks, when it comes to saving, when it comes to building up that emergency fund. It is imperative that you automate your saving transfers. It is super, super easy to pay yourself first, removing really the temptation to spend money before you have availability to it. So if you think of 100% of your income, if you're saving, 5, 10, 15% right off the top, 85% of the income that is left at that point is what you have to run and really know exactly how much you're spending. It's kind of crazy, but it does make sense, and it does make sense. And it also does make it super easy when it comes to automating it because you can kind of set it and forget it. Don't even have to worry about it. Now, the fourth one, we get into the investing aspect, which is the diverse portfolio. This is really the key to any good money management. When you're starting to look at investments, when you're starting to put that 15% away, has to be into not all in one nest egg, but kind of broken up with a diverse portfolio. And we talk about the 3 ETF portfolio. So what we do with this one, and this is how I personally do kind of talk about the financial education piece, is the first part is going to be our foundation. So this is going to be an S&P 500 index fund, regardless of the variety. Whatever you want to choose, this is going to be your foundation. The second one you're going to choose is a growth ETF. This, of course, is going to be the one through the next 10, 20, 30 years. You're going to see a majority of growth. A lot of it's going to be focused in the tech sector. Again, you can really choose whatever you want. And the final one is going to be an income ETF. This could be the HD. This could be a lot of different income ETFs. And overall, the mix of these is going to be dependent what percentage you're putting in on what portfolio you're building, and that is going to be very dependent on your age. Now, a lot of people say to diversify it even more than that, doing stocks, doing bonds, doing real estate, doing crypto, mutual funds, doing ETFs. There are so many things, but when you start thinking about the simplification of ETFs, exchange traded funds, that's exactly how I build my portfolios and how I recommend building portfolios. Number 5, we get into living below your means. This is something that I feel was lost years and years ago, is if you make $5,000, you cannot spend $6,000. Mathematically, it does not work unless you're the United States government and you can just go ahead and raise the budget up to, trillions and trillions of dollars. But for a majority of us, you have to stay within and really live within your means. If you're supplementing income for credit card debt, you're going to run out eventually. You're going to get to a breaking point. And I feel like that's where a lot of people are right now. There's no room for savings. There's no room for investing. There's not even room for the occasional splurge or even the debt repayment. People are getting to the point where the bills are getting too high. The monthly liabilities are overriding exactly what you can in the running in the red. It cannot last for a long time. You have to live within your means. Even if you're living, very, very close, let's say using 95% of your income, living within your means and not borrowing to supplement the income is an absolute game changer. Now, the sixth one we look at is unnecessary debt. This is one that I talk about when I have people who borrow money. How are you going to pay it back? That is a question that I very, very rarely ever get an answer to. We had an individual coming in looking to do a wedding, wants to borrow $25,000. They're going to pay it back over the next 7 years. So think about that for a minute. $25,000, nice to have. Yeah, great wedding. You're going to spend your first 7 years married in debt with $25K in debt for 7 years. How are you going to pay this back? You are starting your marriage in debt. It increases the financial stress of making those payments and really takes your finances off course when you're having an absorbent amount of money that is going into something that is going to be one single day. Are they going to recoup the cost? Probably not all of it. Then when you couple in student loan debt, you start putting in, the rent or the mortgage payments, you start looking at car payments, you add in insurance. That is the reason why when it starts getting into the high interest debt, especially that credit card debt, it is imperative that is what you eliminate first. Living within your means gives you the ability and gives you the income to repay and eliminate that debt in its entirety. Everyone that I see that is financial savvy, everyone that I see that has very strong financial habits does not carry high interest debt because it is so expensive. Now, going back to our scenario of the wedding, number 7, planning for big purchases. This is, again, something that I feel like was lost years ago, where when you think of, let's say, for instance, I own this house, there's going to be a point in time I need a furnace, I need an HVAC unit, I need a roof, I'm going to need windows. Setting those savings goals and really setting it aside, putting, let's say, $100 a month into a savings account, that is our house fund. That is exactly what we do. So over the course of, a couple years, I might have $5, $10, $15,000 saved up in there. It really makes it easy doing it in very small segments, very small amounts to manage savings and really targeted to the point of when we need windows, when we need a roof. We already have the money set aside. We don't have to worry about financing it because if you finance it and you borrow again that $25,000, you tack on your interest. Now you're at $34,000 for the exact same price that you could have just paid $25,000 for and been completely out the door. Now, interesting story. We recently bought some furniture and it was a bigger purchase. We set aside money for it. However, Gardner White and a couple other retailers would not allow us to pay for it, which we could pay for it, but it would be paid at the absolute first or the highest cost. It was going to be a full purchase if we paid for it itself. However, the caveat to that was if we did their financing, they would give us a 25% discount. So not only would we go ahead and do the financing, which once we get the first bill, we'll pay it off in full, but because we did the financing, they gave us a 25% discount on furniture, which if you bought it recently, it is super expensive, but it is a way to save thousands, literally thousands of dollars on furniture just to take their financing for one single month. Because like I said, planning for big purchases, we knew that furniture was in the cards and we were going to have and really go through and buy furniture recently, or we were planning on it. And now we know just paying it off. But again, we saved 25%, which was kind of crazy. Now, number 8, looking at your financial goals. Majority of people that I do financial counseling for do not have financial goals at all. Nothing. Zero. This is what keeps you on track. When you think of retirement, when you think about paying for school, when you think about vacation, when you think of anything, you have to put a goal around it. You have to know exactly what you want to do. And a lot of times if you don't, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen down the road. A manageable time frame, knowing exactly, hey, by the time I'm 50, I want to pay off this house. I want it free and clear. I want it to be done. I don't want to wait till I'm 49, start planning for that goal in just a couple months. We can tweak the budget. We can adjust our deductions, looking at the savings target, even looking at new opportunities, make a really big difference when you know exactly the direction that you have with your finances. Number 9, using credit cards wisely. If you have to use credit cards, They can be an absolute game changer for your finances if they are used responsible. What we say with responsible is it's not meant to be your emergency fund. That is money that is liquid set aside. The credit card and paying them off in full avoids the interest charge. It earns you a little bit of rewards. And honestly, you can really keep it in check. Now, there are a lot of people in places that say you don't need credit cards. And technically, you don't need credit cards, but there are a few things where you have to have a credit card for. Renting a car, they would not take a debit card. They required and only would take a credit card. When we rented a hotel room or booked a hotel room, they would only take a credit card. There was no option to use a debit card. They were not going to debit. They were not going to hold the money. They would only take a credit card. So I honestly don't know in this scenario if we didn't have a credit card, even though there's no balance, we've never paid interest on the card, having it there for little things. And of course, even if you have a very low limit credit card, let's say a $500 limit can boost your credit score. Credit score is something that they use for everything. If you have no credit score, and I know this is going back to the kind of the Dave Ramsey philosophy, you don't need a credit score, but without a credit score, you will pay higher insurance rates. If you did need a loan by chance, you're not going to get approved because you have no history. If you want to get a mortgage, you can go through a lengthy process to get approved. But if you have good credit, you're guaranteed and you're going to get a better rate than what they would do with port loans and a couple other things. And the final one we talk about in here is building that emergency fund. It is your financial safety net. This is something that gives you the peace of mind when unexpected expenses. Most people that have an emergency fund utilize it, or they have the backup of a credit card. They treat that credit card as their emergency fund. When it comes to car repairs, when it comes to medical bills, when it comes to anything that pops up, they rely on the credit card. Well, guess what? If you drop $5,000 or $10,000 on that credit card and you're paying 25%, well, now you're not only going to be paying back that $5,000 or $10,000, you're going to be paying months or even years of interest on that. So on top of your regular payment, you're going to be paying interest on that, meaning a portion of your paycheck, including just the principal and the interest, is going to be going into that card, making it exponentially expensive, which is the reason why when it comes to having that emergency fund, you have the money set aside. You don't have to worry about it. Everything is already taken care of. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. 10 financial habits of people who are really good with money, including myself. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next video.